Assalamu alaikum everyone, and welcome to a new edition of Dr. Nutrition. Today is gonna be a very interesting topic about ruminant. So we're gonna talk about calf nutrition. Why today? Because I just been asked this question from a farm that I'm managing as a consultant, and this farm has been, always doing a very same system for calf nutrition. And I told them, guys, it's better to change this based on the new research. So what do I mean by that? So you have to work with your veterinarian at the farm and the farm manager as a nutritionist. So you have to be three. The decision in calf nutrition has to be three: farm manager, veterinarian, and nutritionist. All three together have to work to put a strategy in place. Why? Because for example, if those calves gonna be a replacement heifer, they will have to be managed differently than if those calves gonna be for fattening for their own farm. And even if I'm gonna sell those calves in the market, that's a third strategy. So you should always think about it like this, because each one have a different impact and different goals in calf nutrition. I'm just giving you an example. There are more of those examples, but just in case. So let's dig a deep dive on those examples. First, very importantly, you should give always high colostrum to the calf. What do I mean by this? High colostrum, that means high IgG. So that one of the parameters, let's say the most important of those parameters, it should have higher immunoglobulins. Okay, so that's the first part. The second part is, even if I have colostrum that is from my own farm, so we always try to ask our colleagues is to measure the IgG in those colostrum. I'm not buying from external market, but I have from my own farm. So again, you have to measure the IgG in this. And again, there is a very well-established methodology with Brix refractometer, and then your goal is more than 22% the IgG present there, which is roughly, you're talking about 40 IgG, immunoglobulin G, milligram of immunoglobulin G per milliliter of those colostrum. So that's their main goal. You give 10% of this within the first 90 minutes of birth, and 10% of what? Birth weight. So 10% of the birth weight you give on the first 90 minutes. Then shortly after that, you give to the animal another 10% at least of their birth weight. You give them a second feeding. Why 12 hours after birth? Because after 12 hours, unfortunately, the absorption of IgG is normally drastically very low. So you should always think about this. The second point, there are many customers in the farm, especially if it's like a smaller sized farm, they try to measure the percentage or the levels of IgG in the blood of the calf. I think it's a healthy idea, but unfortunately for the very big farms that have like I don't know, 1,000 births or 500 births per day, so it's gonna be complex. But again, it's a healthy idea to check. But in this case, your goal should be 10 milligrams per deciliter of the serum as IgG, okay, in order to see the success in the colostrum absorption. That's the first day. So after this first day, then you start seeing those differences based on the KPIs, or based on the needs from that calf at the end of the day. So let's take an example. Okay, traditional way, you give 10% of milk to the calf afterwards, then the calf will be weaned within 6 to 8 weeks. But in the farms, what we do, so normally we give something called transition milk. Transition milk is basically the milk that the cow give after second day or something like that, for colostrum. So colostrum is the first day, sometimes even go to the second day, but afterwards called transition milk until the 7th day, or till 1 week basically. So we give that to the calf as well. But the goal here is that you give the transition milk from 3+ milk cycle cow. So basically you give the older cow's transition milk, not the first lactation cow transition milk, because the older cows have a higher fat, higher lactoferrins, among other things, and of course the IgG as well. But again, there are many pros toward giving the transition milk from a cow that is 3+ cycles. So that's the first part. How much you give normally, again depend on what do we need from this animal. But for the sake of example, if I want to get the animal to become my replacement heifer, then I'm going very aggressively in the transition milk. If I'm going to want to have like fattening for those animals, so I need to, as soon as possible, start introducing concentrate to this diet. So for this example, let's take the fattening. So normally I give like 13 to 15% of the body weight of the animal. I give them as a transition milk, plus I give them free access toward concentrate. So that's the first week, basically, after colostrum, of course. After that, we start going toward milk replacers. And for the milk replacers, the main goal here also, it comes to you, is what is the ambient temperature basically that you have in the farm. So if you are below the comfort zone, the thermal comfort zone of the animal, then the animal will try to consume more milk. So you have to basically understand that the animal will consume more milk. So you have to adjust your energy and your protein balance in the mix of the milk replacer according to this, and vice versa if it's a heat stress. So again, you have to be able to change a little bit or adopt according to the environment that you are in. The most important thing is that once you go to this milk replacers, I'm always trying to tell people, always choose a milk replacer according to, again, the discussion between the 3 committee members, the veterinarian, nutritionist, and the farm manager. And the second point, always try to get milk replacer that already is constituted via whey or like milk composition, milk powder. Don't go for the ones that have already soybean, because you're gonna already put a concentrate. Some farms do not put concentrate and they rely completely on the milk replacer. Okay, those ones you can go for having soybean isolates or like constituted like plant protein inside of the milk replacer. That's okay, and that can work as well. But if you are gonna be feeding a concentrate or feeding introducing your calf toward concentrate diet, then you should always think about having the milk replacer as only constituted from milk composition. And in a later video I will tell you what is the best or the differences between those milk replacers and what should you do in your farm based on your KPIs. But lastly, I wanted to say is that when is the time of weaning? Many people wean at like 6 to 8 weeks, so roughly about 50 days after birth. And again, depends on what you want to do with your calf afterward. Some people have a parameter of saying, okay, I want it to be double birth weight. Some other people say, no, I only take my animal away from the milk replacer if I achieved like 95 kilograms of body weight. So again, it depends if you're gonna talk about replacement heifer or what. And some people say, no, I need just to have the calf like eating about 2 pounds of concentrate for 3 successive days. So that's about 1.5 kilograms of concentrate consumption for steadily for 3 days, and then you take the animal away from the milk replacer. Okay, so again, I can give you more information about this, and there are many publications that talks about what I am telling you and supports the idea that I'm telling you. You have to think differently based on the goals and KPIs in this farm. If it's a replacement heifer, it's a totally different nutritional program for calf than if it's for fattening for your own farm, or than that is going to be sold, the calf is going to be sold and you want to maximize in this, or it's going to be a veal, so you're gonna, for the customers that have access to this veal production, so it's completely different as well. So yeah, thank you guys for listening, and sorry for the lengthy video.